Hi, I'm Vic, and I'm one of the careers consultants here at the University of Manchester. If you've been invited for an interview or just starting to make some preparations in advance, then our Get Interview Ready series is for you. If you've been invited to an interview, you'll already have had to submit a CV or application form, even complete some online tests. Recruiters have really high standards, so if you've been invited for an interview, you've already done really well, so congratulations. If you're just starting to think about getting interview ready and you haven't actually made any applications yet, that's okay. It's never too early to get ready and start practicing. If you've been to some interviews already and haven't been successful, that's okay too. Most people don't get the first few interviews that they go for. It does take practice, and hopefully the session that you're attending today will help give you some further tips and advice. So what's coming up today? We're going to look at different styles of interview questions, how to structure an answer, evidencing your skills, what to ask at interview when they ask you if you have any questions for them at the end, and where you can get some further help and advice. So let's look at the different types of interview questions that you could be asked. While these are on the slides as distinct groups, they are interchangeable, so your interview might include one or more of each type of interview question. So the first type is a competency-based question. These are the questions where they ask you, tell me about a time that you faced a difficult challenge. Describe a time when you persuaded others round to your way of thinking. The idea of these types of questions is to find out how you've reacted to and dealt with a previous academic, work, or social situation. The competencies that employers focus on are related to the job, so you should be able to anticipate the types of questions you may face by using the job description. The second type we're going to look at is strength-based questions. Now, they focus more on what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, rather than, as with competency-based questions, focus on what you can do and what you've done in the past. Strength interviewing has its foundations in positive psychology. Everyone has innate strengths that energize and engage them, and by recognizing these strengths and matching them to a role, you'll not only perform better in your role, but you'll enjoy it more too. Employers are opting more to use this strength-based approach as they feel candidates can be over-rehearsed in competency interviews and can give pre-prepared perfect answers. Strength-based interviews are difficult to prepare for, other than by taking the time out to reflect on your own strengths beforehand. Questions are generally asked at a quick pace so that they get your initial reaction to it. And combined with your body language and your tone of voice, they're used to assess your energy and engagement, and therefore your strengths. You might want to, by way of preparation, ask yourself the following types of questions. What are you good at? What comes easily to you? When are you at your best? What motivates you? And when did you achieve something that you were really proud of? Another interview style that's closely linked with the strengths space that we've just looked at is values-based recruitment. Many large companies have their own value or behavioural framework which underpin the skills and behaviours that unite staff within a company. Many employers don't just want to know how you'll act in a certain situation, but that you believe in the values that underpin their business. Examples of these don't need to be from work experience. They can be from hobbies or interests, part-time jobs, or volunteering. If the employer uses this type of interview recruitment, it will be on their website recruitment pages. So we recommend that you prepare examples of each value or behaviour and show where you've demonstrated it. So an example would be delivers quality, compassion, collaboration, innovation, and diversity. So some other types of interview questions that you might encounter. This one is one where candidates very often fall down based on feedback that we get from employers and from students and graduates who've had interviews is commercial and sector awareness. So these types of questions could be: describe a challenge that our sector faces, or tell me about a news story you've been following that has implications for our sector. Developing commercial awareness takes time and research, and at interview you'll need to prove to the employer that you understand and are interested in their industry and their company. So to help you prepare for these types of questions, have a think about the following. So know and understand the range of products or services that their company provides. Research who their competitors are and what are the risks associated with the type of work that they do. Find out who their clients are and what are their needs. What legislation, laws might be relevant or have an impact on the company or sector. And look into what current events, news or trends might be important to this particular company or that particular sector. It's a really important area of research, one that you could do with doing before you even get to the interview stage. But most definitely, if you have an interview offer, you need to spend some time researching the context that that company is working in. It will really set you apart. The final style of interview question that I'm going to make you aware of is motivational interviewing. So these questions will assess your enthusiasm and research into the job role, the offer and the company, such as: why do you want to work for us? Why are you interested in this role? You can demonstrate the research about the role and the company that you've done and show that you've made an informed decision. You might be asked something like: where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is testing your commitment to your career, and it's a chance for you to demonstrate your knowledge about the career routes that are available within the company or within the sector. Key things to discuss would be around development opportunities that are available within the company. So opportunities to experience new areas within the organisation, so secondments, or working abroad if it's an international organisation. Now, this is about structuring your interview question, and whichever style of interviewing, whichever style of question you face in your interview, this is the approach that you should take to answer it fully. The STAR technique is situation, task, action, result. Sometimes there's an extra R on the end, which is about reflection. So the STAR model is an effective way to articulate your skills to a recruiter, as it integrates action with evidence. You might also come across the CAR model on our website, and that's context, action, result. It's very similar. So the idea of this is that you need to concentrate on showing the employer what the result has been and what impact you've had in the company, in the example that you're talking about. So you start with a situation. So you briefly describe the situation from your experience, then identify the specific task that you needed to accomplish or engage in, then talk about the actions that you took, be specific, what, how, why, and then talk about the result. What was the outcome and impact of the actions that you took in that situation? You can also talk about the reflection. It can be a learning outcome after you've reflected on it. It might be a follow-up question, say, how would you do things differently if you're faced with that situation again? The most important thing to remember is that you need to focus on the result. What was it that was the impact of what you did? And also make sure that you're talking about what it was that you did and not about the team. If you're finding it really difficult to fit your example into the STAR model, it might be that actually it's not a strong enough example, so maybe try and think of a different one. So it's a common mistake made by applicants is to use phrases like, I gained communication skills, time management skills, and team working skills while working as an intern. That's a statement, but it doesn't provide evidence. Recruiters want to know more. Another error is to resort to simply telling the story, rather than emphasising your personal involvement and the impact in the situation. When you're using examples where you worked in a group, avoid saying "we did" in your statement. The recruiter wants to know what you did, how you influenced the group, what decisions you made, and what the impact was of your actions. So now we're going to practice. In a moment, I want you to pause the recording and answer the question using the STAR model. So remember, situation, describe the situation from your experiences. Task, the specific task you needed to accomplish or engage in. Action, the actions that you specifically took. Be specific, what, how, why did you take those actions? And then the results or reflection, the outcome or impact of your actions. It can be a learning outcome after reflection or a tangible result after your actions were taken. So the question is, give an example of a problem that you have personally solved in a unique or creative way. Now pause the recording and I'll see you in a moment. So how did you find that? Be prepared for follow-up questions. For example, how satisfied were you with the outcome? What did you learn about problem solving from this experience? If an employer is asking a follow-up question, it might be that they're genuinely interested in the example. However, if an employer asks a lot of follow-up questions, it might be that they didn't feel your answer was detailed enough. So that's something to reflect upon. If you're thinking about an interview that you've had and you're wondering why you weren't successful, have a think about that. Maybe you weren't going into enough detail. This question, give an example of a problem that you've personally solved in a unique or creative way. It's about innovation. So they are assessing your ability to look at issues from different perspectives, to think outside the box, which is another way of saying that you don't just go with an obvious solution or one that's already been tried. And it's also assessing how prepared you are to take a considered risk. At the end of an interview, the very vast majority of employers will ask you, do you have any questions for us? It's really normal for them to do that, and preparing some questions to ask the employer is a really good way to show that you're keen and enthusiastic about working for the company. If you don't ask any questions, some recruiters might interpret that as disinterest. Often there will be things you genuinely need to know, but it's also a really good opportunity to ask something slightly more informally. You need to think about the people on the panel, their roles, and what questions are appropriate though. So this is another good reason to look up your interview panel on LinkedIn before your interview. Some ideas of things that you could possibly ask. So do ask about future prospects in the organisation, about training and learning opportunities, details about the role for some clarification, and ask the interviewer to describe what they enjoy about the organisation. Other things that you could ask about: where do you see the company in 5 years' time? What's the typical career path for someone in this role? Can you tell me what a typical day would look like in this role? Or is there anything else that I can provide to help you make your decision? You can also ask when you are likely to find out the results of the interview. Asking them when they're likely to make a decision is a good way to do that. Don't ask anything that's answered already on their website or in the job description or literature that they've already sent you prior to the interview. That just looks like you haven't been bothered to do your research. Don't ask them specific questions like paragraph 2 of the financial report. They're unlikely to have that to hand. Don't ask, although it can be very tempting, to ask about salary, working hours, holidays, or benefits. It doesn't really tend to go down well. For some jobs where a fixed salary is not given in the job description, you might be asked at interview what your salary expectations are, but that's really the only financial topic of conversation that you should enter into at this stage. It's really common to feel nervous about interviews. In part 1, You were asked about how you felt about interviews, with 1 being terrified and 10 being looking forward to potentially meeting your new employers, sharing your experiences with an interview panel. Remembering that an interview is a two-way process. I want you to reflect now on how you feel after these 3 parts of the Get Interview Ready series. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more confident. There are some practical steps that you can take to help prepare for being nervous, and even the most seasoned employer can feel nervous about interviews. You can use this emotion in a positive way. Preparing for interview questions can help you to feel more confident about what the company might ask, what they do. Review your CV so that you feel familiar and confident to cite examples from your own experiences, and see the interview section of our website for more on that. In the interview, if you need more time to think of your answer, you could ask them to repeat the question. Ask, can I have a moment to consider that? Ask if you could come back to that question. You can look at changing your thinking. Notice any worries that you have. Write them down or share them with someone that you trust. Test out how accurate these worries are by asking, how likely is that to happen? So, for example, I might forget some points about why I'm interested in that job or course. If it did, how could I plan to avoid that? Change your body language. Adopting a positive posture can make you feel calmer. Smile. This simple act can make you feel happier, because when you smile, you release the body's natural feel-good chemicals in the brain. There's a TED talk by Amy Cuddy which shows how a change in your body language can affect your confidence. Move to release any tension. Exercising helps to work out any excess adrenaline and will help you to make you feel better by releasing the body's natural mood-enhancing chemicals. Taking a walk and getting some fresh air and noticing the world around you is a great way to take your mind off your nerves. So it's a good way to get prepared before an interview. Change your breathing. Breathing more deeply and taking twice as long to breathe out than breathing in will have a calming effect. Breathe in for a count of 6 and out for a count of 12. This in turn will help calm your mind if it's racing and help to level out your voice. Relax your muscles. Relax the shoulders and muscles in the face and neck will help you to feel calm. Practice this activity by doing a body scan exercise or try a guided relaxation technique. Eat. When you're anxious, you can lose your appetite altogether or feel like you need to boost your energy with caffeine and sugar. Maintaining a healthy balance will help you to remain calm and in control. So make sure that you've eaten and you have a drink with you when you're getting ready for an interview. There's plenty of further help and advice available from the University of Manchester Career Service. We have access to practice video interview software, so you can just email the Career Service via our website and request that if you've got an upcoming video interview. We also offer interview simulations with our careers consultants. You can book those through Careers Link. You're entitled to one of those if you've got an interview coming up. Online live workshops and Q&A sessions, we've got plenty of those which can help you to prepare for your interviews. We also have recorded workshops like this one, and we've got plenty of events on. So you can search for events via Careers Link. So for instance, Meet the Professionals, so that you could speak to people working in an industry that you want to get into and ask for their top tips about interviews and applications. If you haven't already, definitely follow us on social media and keep up to date with the latest news, events and opportunities. We're on Facebook, Twitter, have our own careers YouTube channel where you'll find links to past recordings, and more topical pieces feature on the Manchester Uni Careers blog. You'll also receive emails directly from Careers as a student or graduate, so keep an eye out in your student inbox. Thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you found this session useful. Best of luck with your upcoming interview.